it, Michael. This is it. We did it. We did it. This is the last Rage Select podcast of the year of Lucifer, Satan himself, 2020, because next week we would have to record a podcast like on Christmas Eve, and I'm just not going to do that. So you guys have to go 2 weeks without a podcast, but this is it. We're finishing out 2020 with a bang. It's been a hell of a year. It's been one hell of a year. It has been a hell of a year. So welcome back, everybody, to the Rage Select podcast here. Rage Select, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mike.
And I hope that you guys are all going to have good holidays. I think we're going to have some pretty cool stuff lined up. I just got done making sure the schedules were all cool, so that you'll have some fun, cool stuff. But we have a lot of not cool news this week. Some kind
a lot of crazy shit.
It never stops this year. Like man.
Is it the new Fallout 76?
I think it might be. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to talk about that. We're going to do something a little different this week because I want to do our thing where we talk normally at the beginning about kind of like, oh, what have you been up to? But then like I need to get some stuff off my chest about Cyberpunk 2077, and I need to do it like at the beginning of this podcast.
That's fair.
Before we read like 14 news stories about Cyberpunk 2077. So last week
said 76 there.
I did. Cyberpunk 76. That's the new meme, kids. This 42-year-old podcaster nobody listens to. I'm making up the memes now.
Yeah.
So before we start, I last week, just kind of out of the blue, they put that Alice in Borderland series, live action series on Netflix. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't actually.
Okay, so it was on. I talked about the trailer on a podcast a little while back, but this is like a manga, and also it's been developed into, I believe, only a 3-episode OAV that just covers like the first 4 issues or something like that. But like, okay, let me stop me if you've heard this one, Michael. Disaffected high school youth gets pulled into a crazy world and has to figure out the rules to the world whilst engaging in a series of challenges that may result in their death.
It could be anything.
It could be anything. I could be describing Pokemon at this point.
I wouldn't be surprised if there is a version of that somewhere with Pokemon.
Yeah, basically the short of it is that it's like these 3 dudes that know each other. I think they've graduated from high school. They get pulled into like a version of Tokyo where there's nobody there except for them and like a few other people who have been pulled into this version with nobody. But then like every so often this thing comes up and it's like the game is over here and you've got to like go to this location and there's a game. And the thing is that if you lose the game, you die. Like there's these lasers that come down from the sky and then they shoot like a laser through your brain. Like if you try to leave the game or if you lose the game, and they're like very kind of Saw-ish games. They're divided into like, these are mental games. These are physical games. Like one of them in the second episode is like, they're in this apartment block and like there's a guy with one of those horse heads on with an Uzi and it's tag. And it's like, you have to find the door to leave, but don't get tagged, and getting tagged means getting shot with an Uzi.
Oh my god!
And then, like, if you win the game, you get like a series of days off. You get like a visa that expires in X number of days, and then like you have to go play another game, or else the lasers in the sky just murder you to death. And so it's like 8 48-minute episodes. It's got that kind of weird, like they're making an anime into a live action thing, and sometimes anime doesn't like translate, but what it does have is like battle royale / Saw levels of violence. And I dig that.
That's crazy as hell.
The hyper violence. So yeah, if you got Netflix, you got nothing, you already burned through everything else. I would give, it's obviously like they end on a big cliffhanger. It was a good place to end. I actually went and checked out the OAV, and I don't think it's as good. There's like 3 20-minute episodes of it, and there's like 8 48-minute episodes of this, and it's I mean, it's like everything on Netflix, Michael. Like, this is not a reason for you to run out and buy a Netflix subscription, but if you have it, and what I just said sounds interesting, watch the first episode, and when you get to the end, you'll be like, no, or yeah, and either way. Like,
Yeah. Saw style anime crazy bullshit.
yeah.
Which is kind of what Saw has sort of devolved into eventually, but still.
Yeah, yeah. There's a few places with some kind of janky CG. They like the big like CG animals for some reason, which I don't care for. But like they have all these really striking scenes of like, you know, that big what's that big square in Tokyo where it's got all like the crosswalks, you see it in everything. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know the name of it either.
Like, because they have all of these shots of like empty Tokyo. So they're just like these streets that you've seen that are iconic in other things, but just there's nobody on them. In fact, they have a lot in the first episode where they're wandering around in that giant outside area, and I'm just like, how the fuck did you guys get everybody off of that street? Like,
that is kind of crazy.
But
that place is basically like Times Square for them, apparently.
Yeah. Well, what have you been up to, Michael?
Well, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I saw Freaky when it came out.
Oh yeah, I've been curious about that. How was it?
It's really good. It's takes the premise really, really well. Like in the beginning, it's a normal slasher. Vince Vaughn plays this slasher who like apparently at one point, like his backstory is that he went mad like during like a prom or something and killed some people and then just sort of disappeared. And then he comes back and starts killing people again. Meanwhile, there's this girl. She's an unpopular girl. Her dad died like years ago. So her mom's an alcoholic, and her sister's a cop who doesn't like that her mom's an alcoholic, kind of thing. And she's dealing with her own shit. And so one day, she's after finishing a football game because she's like their mascot. She gets attacked by Vince Vaughn, and it's
Freaky Friday.
Some mystic stuff happens, and they switch bodies.
Yeah.
And she has 24 hours to switch back to her body, or she's stuck as Vince Vaughn forever.
Nobody wants that. That's a fate worse than death right there. You don't want to be stuck as Vince Vaughn.
Well, maybe. I don't know. He's tall as shit. But yeah,
this is by the person
a lot of fun.
That made Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You, right?
Yes, they did the Happy Death Day, which is the reason I wanted to watch it so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really good. Like it's like I was expecting a little more from some of the stuff that happens in it, but overall I thought it was a really fun time.
Okay.
I recommend it highly.
Okay. And that's one of those things you could just like rent that on like Amazon or Google and
Yeah, I rented it on Vudu. I watched it in 4K with my fancy 4K television.
Woo! Michael's got a 4K television. Have you played any Cyberpunk 2077 on your fancy 4K television?
No, I have not.
You've just been playing 60 frames per second with ray tracing Spider-Man, haven't you?
I've also been playing some Avengers.
Oh, yeah.
I started up Avengers again.
The day this podcast comes out, people are going to get to watch me be like really weirdly aggravated for some reason about playing the game that I picked to play on the channel that I run.
It's not really for some reason, because you, like I said on a Patreon, you got beat like you owed the game money.
I did. I really did. So, okay, we have a shitload to go through. Nintendo is still putting out fucking indie world things. But before we get started, so last week, I did the podcast with Bryce. I had played, I don't know, like 8-10 hours of Cyberpunk 2077. And I said to Bryce, like, I think this game is all right. I think you just need to wait. I have faith in CD Projekt Red that they'll probably fix it, like, in the future. Now, I should preface this by saying, like, you know, I am playing the Xbox One version on a Series X. It looks good. You know, it's okay, but there's some problems that I'm running into, and I don't know that I've seen that many people talking about these problems. So, the first is that I normally am able to put up with a lot of glitches, Michael, but this game is so fucking glitchy. Like, it's impacting the storyline. Like, there was a point, I don't know if you remember, there was that one trailer where they were talking about the gangs in Night City.
Yeah.
And there's the Voodoo Boys. So I was doing the Voodoo Boys quest. I'm talking to the guy that's from the Voodoo Boys, and you know, he's like standing in front of this counter and he's talking to V, and V says something about a chicken. She's like, I didn't even think chickens were still legal. And he's like, not for eating or whatever, you know. I shouldn't do accents ever. And I'm like, what fucking chicken? And then he goes into this canned animation to like cut the head off a chicken, and suddenly a chicken appears in front of him that wasn't there through the cutscene. And I'm like, these are bugs that are like impacting the story in a way. Like I was, that Judy, like she's a character you've seen in some of the things that has like the brain dance thing.
Yeah.
Like I was in a cutscene with her and she was standing up, and then whenever she would say her dialogue, she would just like blip into a seat, sat down, say her line, and then just go back to standing beside it. And like, again, I'm a kind of person who could look over stuff. I loved Immortals Phoenix Rising, and the cutscenes in that were just like okay, but like in this situation, you're starting to get to the point where it's like, this is breaking my immersion to a point that I can't ignore it anymore.
Oh, I've heard of two specific ones that I laughed at really hard. One is that there's at one point there's a character, I guess, that follows you.
Oh yeah.
And if you're not moving, it's just like, hey, hurry up kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so people were saying, it's like, yeah, I did a cutscene where it's like supposed to be this super sad moment, and you just hear, hey, hurry up kind of thing. Well, like a character is dying, and it's just like, what? And then another one where like it's a cutscene where they're injecting something somewhere, but like they pull out a gun and they just stick a gun in their head. And so there's just a gun jammed in their head, like a fucking Steve Martin bit kind of thing.
Yeah, but the thing, I guess, I mean, like the bugs are there, whatever. I don't know if they're going to work them out or not, but the thing that I'm really starting to focus on is that I don't think this is a very good game. Like, and a lot of it, I think, comes down to, okay, let me qualify that. I think that this might be a good first-person shooter with some RPG elements in it, but I decided not to play it as a first-person shooter because they were like, oh, look, here's a whole tree of cyberware. You can devote your character to cyberware. And I've done that, and it's like, it's really boring. Like using cyberware, you have a very limited number of programs. You basically just point at a guy, and then it's like shooting a guy, except you hold down the left bumper and choose, guy takes damage from a menu instead of shooting them with a gun. And then like when you run into boss fights, I ran into this boss fight where because it was a higher level character, my RAM cost to attack them was super high. And so I hit him with my stun thing, and it took off, a 6 to an 8th of their health. But then it's like I had to wait for the RAM to recharge. There's no consumables that'll make that happen faster, or at least there was nothing that I could see. I could be wrong. So I just ended up like kiting this melee character around an arena while my shit recharged, and eventually I just busted out like a melee weapon and like a baseball bat, and just I would hit them, and then when they hit me back, I would just take a stim, and then I would hit them, and then when they hit me back, I would take a stim, and I just did that, and it was like you remember when Deus Ex came out, and when Mankind Divided came out, and the boss fights, you couldn't win them if you specialized in like stealth or hacking. There was like no option. Yeah. It's like that. Like most of the options to attack enemies are just like with the cyberware is like it's kind of like magic. But like I wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy. I went back and I loaded up The Witcher 3, and I'm like, the powers in The Witcher 3, you only have like 5 of them, but like one of them is a force push, one of them is a trap, one of them is like a mess with the mind. Like that's one of the things I'm wondering is, you remember in The Witcher you could use that one sign to like get dialogue options to like use the force on people to make them tell you stuff.
Yeah.
And I figure, like, as somebody who's put every single upgrade point they've gotten pretty much into the cyberware chain, I should be able to, like, hack a person's cyberware and have an option outside of just shock them to death with computer. Like, use computer to shock until they fall down on the ground. And I'm like, I don't know. And I try to do stealth, and because of the weird way that, like, lines of sight are really hard to suss out because the world is very cluttered with stuff, I keep getting seen, and like there's not very many ways to, I mean, you could just run out of the area and wait for the alarm to stop and then go back in, but that's just like a time tax. There's no good way to get around that. Like, I expected there to be a like turn invisible cyberware that I could install to become a sneaky ninja cyber thief. So I'm wondering whether the people that are having a good time with this game, and I'm not saying this is like wrong or anything, are just playing this as a first person shooter that has these RPG elements in it. and that by trying to do anything besides that, I have fucked myself. I tried to be a melee sneaky cyber that I found all of the underdeveloped parts of this bread over here. I'm just chewing on raw dough because these are very undeveloped pieces of the game that just feel half-baked, where it's like, do whatever you want. And I'm like, okay, I want to do that. They're like, but not that, or that, or that. And because there's no respec, or I don't know, I haven't seen any way to respec, like, my option at this point is what, like, start over and just get machine guns and shoot people with machine guns because that's the thing that's fun in this game? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, based on everything that you've said, that sounds exactly like what happened. Like every time, because everybody I hear that's having a lot of fun with it. They're not known for being stealthy kind of thing. They're not exactly like the best, not best gamers. That sounds mean. Like they're not people that are known for gaming a lot. A lot of the people that I see that really, really enjoy it because they're not thinking in that kind of level. They're very straightforward and they're just like, well, I got a gun, I'm gonna get the gun stuff kind of thing. And it sounds a lot like the idea that CD Projekt Red realized that was the main audience and put all their focus into that, and the stealth just fell to the side, but they didn't take it out.
Right.
Like they probably were better off taking it out instead, if that's the case of them just like not giving stealth people really an option to be stealthy at all.
I mean, again, I would like to make this absolutely clear that, like, this is not a review. I have not beat the game. I've not even gotten that far into it. Like, I've gotten a little bit into one tree, and that's kind of it. But, like, you know, what you just said is a perfect way to sum it up. Like, if Melee, they had a whole thing where they said that, like, they were reworking the Melee because it wasn't very fun the way it was. And then I got what they came up with, and it's like, well, this isn't very fun. Like, it's a block. It's a block, a heavy attack, a light attack. And, like, again, maybe I have chosen the worst route. Sneaky, cyber, non-lethal, right? Like bludgeoning, cyber, non-lethal. And then if
some of me wonders if some of it had to do, you remember with all that stuff that they showed in the trailers that they ended up taking out, like being able to like climb on walls and shit,
like the wall running, the parkour.
Yeah, I wonder if that would have been something that would have been more about, you know, getting away from people to get back in the stealth or something, and they just didn't rework that part of it because they just took it out because they're like, well, this isn't working. It's like, well, what are you going to replace it with? Replace it, kind of thing.
So it's actually really funny because I didn't even think there's two other things I want to bring up, and I swear to God we're going to get to the news, but like this is all that's been on my mind this week because I've been like waiting for this game. And it's that horrible feeling where you're like, all right, the thing I've been waiting for 5 years is finally out. And then you play it, you're like, oh, no. Oh, no. Like, I was watching, right before we started, I was watching the 2018, I believe it was, like E3 walkthrough where they're in that apartment and then they go and they get the girl out of the bathtub. And, like, one of the things that they showed in there was that before V went into combat, they like puffed one of the inhalers, and then there was like a status effect at the top of the screen that had a countdown timer on it, and it was obvious what this was they took drugs, because then when they went to like dodge, the world slowed down to allow them to like line up shots on the enemies, and I could see it. Like I could see the icon at the top that showed the countdown, because when they did the puff, the health regeneration, everything is like an asthma inhaler in that game. So when they did the health, get back your health thing, it brought up a little cross with like a little 2 or 3 second timer, which is like what it does in The Witcher, right? When you eat, it gives you like health regeneration for X amount of time, and that's how it works. So when we talk about this, there's one more thing I want to talk about, but when we talk about this, I think what it keeps coming back to me is that, like, fix the bugs, right? Make it work on consoles. Sure, absolutely. But, like, I'm starting to think that what this game really needs is, like, a No Man's Sky style. We're going to be re-adding feature sets to the game that were removed. Like, this update is going to put, well, this is a perfect place to go to my other thing. I do not believe there is cyberspace in this game. Now, I don't think CD Projekt Red ever said there was cyberspace, but considering it was a Cyberpunk game and there was a tree for hackers, I just assumed that there would be some kind of cyberspace. I mean, even Deus Ex had that little, like, hacking minigame, like something like that. There's, like, this little match letters and numbers to do some effects thing. but like there's no like, oh well, my hacking is so high that I can like watchdogs this shit without ever having to go in. I could steal the data from across the street by jacking into the terminal, cutting through the ice, and fucking like planting a virus in their system and then pulling back out using whatever blah 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 blah. And it's like that isn't in the game. As near as I can tell, like drugs aren't in the game. I mean, like there's food you can eat to get these like weird bonuses, but it's I don't know, it's very strange. So I'm starting to wonder whether like fixing the bugs is important, but if they don't add more to the game, it will be a pretty good first-person shooter with some RPG elements that has Keanu Reeves in it and like looks cool, but like. So many thoughts, Michael. Like, I was thinking about. Were you on when we watched that one Night City Wire where they talked about going and putting microphones on a Porsche 911 to get the right audio mix for the car? And it's like,
yeah, we were making fun of them for it.
Why did you do that? Why did you get bands to record songs? Why didn't you make this city like a quarter the size that it is? And then, like, focus. Like, I would have been fine if the soundtrack was generic dubstep that you bought off of some sound effects library online if the stealth worked, right? Because, like, I don't care how good the music is if the stealth feels bad. And that's what it feels like to me right now, is it feels bad. Like, the hacking, you can hack things in the environment. It's always the same 5 things. It's like a vending machine, a light, a camera, like some like ropes on a thing that if you do it, it'll fall on a guy and stun them. There's very little going on, at least so far from what I've played. And if for God's sake, like if there's more out there, then I feel like this game deserves demerits because it hasn't bothered to surface anything interesting outside of the same repetitive side mission to me for like 8 to 10 hours. And
oh, wow.
I don't know. Like I went back, I literally went back and reinstalled The Witcher 3, and I felt like the dialogue options in The Witcher 3 were better because you could have a kind of snarky Geralt or a kind of mean Geralt or a kind of cynical Geralt. And here, it's like an old school RPG talkie tree where like you've got the thing to go forward in the conversation, then you've got like a few optional dialogues that you can go through, but then you just have to go to the thing to go to the next step of the conversation. Like, I never feel like I'm leading the conversation. I feel like I'm just hitting the button to see what the next line of dialogue is.
Oh, so it's one of those ones where if you hit the other one, it just doesn't continue. It's just a quick thing he says, and it waits for you to say the thing.
There'll be like one piece of text that's in yellow, and then 2 pieces of text that are in blue. And if you choose the blue text, they talk and they talk and they talk, but you don't move forward until you hit the yellow text. Like you can listen to that optional dialogue over and over again if you want, but you don't move.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, because there's a lot of games that they're like, well, you have the ability to choose what you say. It's like, but you don't actually, because those 2 things are just, it doesn't affect anything.
Yeah,
it's just some quick flavor text kind of thing, and then the conversation continues.
I swear to God, I need to like write this stuff down so that people don't jump up my ass. I don't think anybody's gonna jump up my ass, but like I was talking to the guy from the Voodoo Boys, and and I was just like, "You go fuck yourself," and then he was like, "Fine, follow me," and I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'm just doing this mission." Like I can't. It doesn't seem like there's any way that I can like make friends with or piss off any of the gangs to the point where it closes stuff off. Like it all seems very funneled. It seems very like I was talking to you. I think I was talking to you about how like in The Witcher, like when you hunt the monsters in The Witcher, there's like a whole series of steps. You like find out what kind of monster, find out where its lair is, prepare the right kind of potions, maybe like equip things that will keep you safer. And like I haven't seen anything like that in this game. So I just wonder like if they get the game that I'm playing so that it looks better and there aren't as many glitchy NPCs, to me, that's not going to make it a good game. Like you're going to need more than that to make it a good game. And as we get into it right now, like, the focus after they've crunched for fucking 4 years is like trying to make the PlayStation and Xbox versions work. And I'm not convinced that this game doesn't need like a full. I'm going to keep playing it just to see what's going on. But here's the thing: I'm forcing myself to play it. I'm not just like having a super super good time like with other games.
That's really the thing I've been hearing here and there kind of thing about the game, which is like there's a lot of people that are enjoying it, so I'm not saying don't enjoy it if you are enjoying it. It's just it's not what people were expecting.
Yes. Yeah. And I fully admit, like I've said a bunch of times, that could very well be because I developed my own set of expectations for this game based on the level of detail and quality in The Witcher 3, and that I was off base for doing that. That because they,
well, even what you said, like some of the early stuff we saw had all like those drugs things as you mentioned, the wall stuff that I mentioned, like those was all stuff they showed off very prominently, I might add.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And then all of a sudden they just were like, well, it just doesn't work, so it's just not a thing.
Yeah.
Which sucks. Like I get, you can do that, but you should also kind of replace it with something that does work.
I noticed.
I feel like they didn't.
I noticed when I was watching that E3 or whatever that footage was again that like, at the end of that when like the trauma team, the trauma docs come out and they get the girl and they put her in the little thing and they fly away. It's like when those guys jumped out of their little van, they all had like a bar above their head that had like two of them said 10 and one of them said unknown, and I'm like, oh, was that their level to indicate like, oh well, these guys are too high of a level for you? I don't know. It's weird. I haven't been having as much fun with it, and again, that could be very much on me, but I can usually try to find something good in a video game if it's there. And again, this shit's all subjective, man. So, like, if you're playing it and you're shooting people with a rocket launcher and slashing them up with a katana and you fucking love it, like, great. I'm very happy for you. Maybe I'll go start over, call my 8 hours a wasted thing, and see how it is if you just equip a machine gun and shoot people in the face. Maybe that's the way to play it. And I don't know. Well, I hope you're all not tired of talking about Cyberpunk 2077 because our first 8 stories are about Cyberpunk 2077.
There's so many stories, guys.
There's so many stories, and we haven't even gotten to the Nintendo shit yet. So last week, this is just I don't understand how. Is CD Projekt Red run by one dude who's stoned all the time? I don't understand how this shit works. Okay, so early last week, CD Projekt Red, they apologized for the state of the PS4 and the Xbox One performance. They said, we're apologize. We think that we've dropped the ball on this. You should try to get a refund if you feel like you want one. Now, again, stoned guy who runs the Twitter for CD Projekt Red, I don't know if he knows. Michael, have you ever tried to get a refund for a video game before?
I did once, and I never again because it was such a bad experience.
Yeah, and here's the thing, is everybody just assumed, CD Projekt Red said it. They obviously had some kind of, agreement with, Sony or Microsoft or GameStop or somebody. They put out some kind of release where they were like, hey, partners, we want to get, we'll totally pay you guys back for all the refund copies that you get, sorry about this, blah blah blah. But no, apparently they just said that shit on Twitter because the people went to try to refund the game at PlayStation Network and Sony said no. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to get a refund from Sony for anything, for any reason, but they say they'll give you a refund for a defective product that you've paid for digitally as long as you haven't ever downloaded or played it, I think is their policy.
It's super limited. It's super slim.
It's very, yeah, it's so limited. So people tried to get a refund from Sony and Sony was like, nah, man. We don't.
Nah, bro.
Yeah, they were like, no, you should wait for CD Projekt Red to fix it. They said they're going to fix it. You should wait for them to fix it. So then there was also this thing where CD Projekt Red put out, and I don't even know what the fuck is going on here, this email address called helpmerefund@cdprojectred.com that you could email CD Projekt Red if Sony told you nah, bro, and they would help you. I don't
really know what that means. Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure exactly what that was supposed to do. But then right before we started recording, this whole thing finally came to this weird head where and by the way, I have no details about Microsoft. I don't know whether Microsoft is letting you refund stuff or
this literally just happened.
But yeah,
like, not even like half an hour ago kind of thing.
Yeah, but as of about an hour before we started recording, Sony said that yes, you can get a refund for Cyberpunk 2077, and they pulled it from the PlayStation Store.
Which is fucking crazy.
Yes.
For a AAA game on Sony.
Yeah.
Like, goddamn.
Yes. Well, the weird thing is that I went to the PSN on my PlayStation 5, where ostensibly it would work, right? Because it's the PS5. It is not. It is the PS4 version you are running on your PS5. The PS4 version has been delisted. I searched for Cyberpunk on my PS5, and I got Valhalla, Cyberpunk Bartender, and Observer Redo, and like a
oh my God.
Killing Floor 2. I did not. I mean, who knows? By the time this comes out, maybe they'll have put it back up there. But I like right now, if I wanted to go buy it on my PlayStation 5, I could not because it's the PS4 version that I would be buying.
You would have now. Right now, you have to go get a physical copy of this game.
Yes,
to play this game.
Yes,
or like if you already bought it, then yeah, of course you can. But now they're literally offering you refunds if you did buy it digitally. Like right now, like that is fucking insane. The last time something like this even remotely happened wasn't a Sony thing. It was what happened to Arkham Knight on PC.
Yeah.
Because it was so fucking broken that Steam delisted it and just offered everybody refunds for it if they wanted it.
If I remember correctly, though, Sony was letting people refund No Man's Sky for like a day, and then they stopped. Like there was some amount of refunding that happened with No Man's Sky.
Yeah, but they never delisted it.
But they never did. Yes.
That's what makes this so much more interesting to me is that this is a full on. We're throwing this shit out until you get your shit together.
Yes,
kind of thing for a AAA fucking game.
Well,
that's insane.
What I think is the most interesting about this, Michael, is that like, as long as Sony never was willing to give you your money back for anything, for any reason, okay. But like, you're giving people their money back. This game installs and runs on a PlayStation. It may crap out. It may crash and it may look like shit all the time. But like, this is a game. It installs, it runs. If you are saying that you are willing to give people refunds because the quality of this product is not sufficient, I want my money back for every game that Gilson Pontes has ever put on the fucking PlayStation Store. Are you kidding me with this? Like, Sword Fortress of Osmonium is more broken.
Oh, Jesus.
It is more broken than Cyberpunk 2077, and yet I can't get my $15 back for Sword Fortress of Osmonium.
Yeah, but it's just like you and like one other guy who has a YouTube channel who's probably asking for a refund.
Right, but I guess the thing is that I am a huge proponent of being able to get your fucking money back, because I feel like it would start to keep some of these companies a little bit more honest about what they were doing. And I'm not like a the big corporations are fucking us all the time guy, but like if Activision, let's say that like Ubisoft sold you a game and then they implemented like a shitty microtransaction a month after the game came out, I feel like you should be able to return that game to say, this is no longer. I feel like returns would make game developers and game publishers have to be honest, because you can't just change something down the road or bait and switch before a game comes out and then just be like, got your money, suckers. We'll see you next year at WWE 2K21. Like,
I'm going to speculate real quick.
Okay.
I think one of the reasons they did this was because they were afraid of the idea of such a big title and people trying to sue them for it. And they were probably worried that if they got enough people who wanted to do something like that, they might have to be forced to change their policy to let them do refunds, and they're better off just doing this instead of dealing with that sort of idea in the future.
I believe that they've done the math and that they realize that even if they offer full refunds, the amount of full refunds that they will pay out is still going to be minuscule in comparison to the money that is going to be made on it. That
They're
even
probably expecting only like not even a quarter of them are going to actually do this.
well, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I'm reading this article off of Kotaku, all right, and so like you read the internet and gaming news. We have a fucking show about it. I read the internet and gaming news, but like there's plenty.
It's true.
Like remember when people didn't realize that the Xbox One pulled the always online component because there are people that heard like the initial news, but they didn't hear anything after that. So like,
Oh yeah, for like 5 years after the fact, people still thought that was the thing.
so there are plenty of people who are just, fucking like they got a job, they got a girlfriend, they got a kid. They're like, oh man, I love The Witcher. I'm going to play Cyberpunk 2077. They get it. They bring it home. They put it in their PlayStation 4 base unit. And they're like, this plays like shit. And then they put down the controller. And then they go like fucking have dinner with their wife and like raise their child. They're not on Kotaku to find out that they can get a refund for it.
I feel like you're attacking the both of us on accident.
Well, somebody has to tell that guy with
your
his
familylessness or whatever. I can't even fucking say the word.
Somebody has to tell that guy with the kids that he can get a refund, and that's why you got to listen to the Rage Select podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is amazing, and it's relatively unprecedented. I don't remember. Sony is so fucked up with this shit. I do not remember this happening.
Oh, absolutely. But I don't know. This is unheard of, though. Really.
Yes.
This is fucking insane, and I love it.
Yeah. And then let's see. We already went over that one. We also had this this emergency investor call that had a lot of stuff that came up. Part of this was finding out about the fact that CD Projekt Red doesn't have any like specific deal with Sony to let people have their money back, like that they just told people you should go get your money back from Sony, bro, I guess, whatever. And then people were like, well, they don't want to give me your money back, and they're just like, I don't know, email me, I'll talk to my guy, I guess, I'll see what I can get you. I'll get you $45 worth of store credit. How's that sound?
I'd love to be in that room and they're just like, well, they're not doing that, email me. And it's just like one of those ones where it like trashes whatever shows up kind of thing.
Yeah.
Welcome to our suggestion box. Trash.
There was also like another whole thing where they talked about like, okay, so they admitted in this call also they obviously did not spend enough time working on the PS4 and the Xbox One version of Cyberpunk 2077. Is this news to anybody? Does anybody need to hear that they didn't like, that once the new generation started, they spent all their time focused on fucking RTX and the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and all that stuff.
All I'm saying is naked T-posing on top of a motorcycle is just, that's a feature. It's not a bug.
It is. But so there was also this really weird thing where they talked about how the PS4 and the Xbox One version like passed cert. And they just assume, and CD Projekt Red thinks that Sony and Microsoft just assumed that they would pass, that CD Projekt Red would fix it before it came out. To which there was an interesting Twitter back and forth where like a developer was like, "Yeah, man, cert isn't like quality. Cert is like, does the game install? Does it format your hard drive? Like, are the files present? Like, does it boot? Like, Sony doesn't QA test the entire game and give you feedback when you submit it for cert. It's just like, is this a product? Does it work?
They're just throwing them under the bus is really what they're saying.
Yeah.
This is not our fault. This is their fault for letting me in.
Yes. There was also this quote where they said that, we have also stated that if your expectation is that the game is going to be equal to, say, next gen or PC in terms of performance, that definitely isn't going to happen. Having said that, I'm not saying it's going to be a bad game, but if your expectations regarding, say, visuals or other performance angle are like this, then we're openly stating that's not going to be the case. It will be a good, playable, stable game without glitches and crashes, though. That's the intention. Which all this stuff is why I get real nervous when quotes like that come out, because I'm still saying, I don't think it's the bugs are a problem. You should fix the bugs, but there's a deeper problem here than just if you fixed the bugs, then it would work. Like, I want to see a BioWare style roadmap with a bunch of unrealistic goals and the time. I want to see in February we're going to get drugs back. In March we're going to get fucking cyberspace. In April,
I'm just picturing that roadmap that literally says February, get the drugs back.
Yeah, I mean that's
They're like, is that the game? Yeah, sure. I was sure that's the game. Just fucking don't tell them they bring the Coke from the back.
Yeah, there's also been some really interesting stuff that's gone on. Michael, I don't know if you actually watched this, but if you haven't, prepare to be absolutely amazed. So people have been having this problem on the PS4, and there's this Twitter video that this guy put out, or this is on Reddit, of like how to increase your frame rate on the PlayStation. And what this guy is doing is anytime there's a big crowd of too many people, he shoots his gun, which makes everybody go crazy, and then he just looks away and looks back, and they all go away. The entire crowd goes away. Like it's kind of incredible. Like in this video, he does it several times where it's like, the frame rate's not so good. So what do? Shoot my gun. Everybody goes crazy. And then just like whip your camera back and forth and everybody fucking disappears. And there's just like nobody on the street around you at that point.
Oh my God. How? What? How? Why?
I think it's because on the past gen consoles, like the AI, the amount of processing power to make all them run or path or whatever, that's just like, we'll get them out of there. Boom. They're all gone. They're all, it's just like, it's
I love it because, yeah, he shows that if you look around, they're all there. The second they're panicked, he does another spin.
Yeah.
And there may be like one or two left, and then he'll do it again, and they're just completely gone.
Yes.
It's like as if they got raptured at that exact moment.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, so it's shit like that, Michael, is like, listen, I'm okay with bugs in video games, but when you talk about immersion breaking, right? Like if you shoot on the street, everybody panics and then you turn your camera and suddenly there's no NPCs left. Like that's too much. That's too much to overlook. At that point, you're like, whoa, hold on.
Well, maybe you're just in cyberspace the whole time, Jeff. Did you ever think about?
Maybe I need to get to the end of the game. I saw a meme where
maybe it's just Superman 64, and we never realized that Lex Luthor is going to win if you don't go through all the rings in Cyberpunk.
I saw a post on Reddit, on the Cyberpunk Reddit, that was like, Cyberpunk 2077 is actually the most immersive game of all time because you shell out your hard-earned money and then get fucked by a corpo all day long. And I was like, yeah. Apparently, also in this is off of a VG247 story. In Brazil, a Brazilian store put up a sign in front of Cyberpunk 2077 for the Xbox One that says, bad performance and bugs on Xbox Fat and Xbox One S. I can't even imagine what this game is like on the S.
Oh, Jesus, I didn't even think about that.
Michael, I need you to bring over my old Xbox so that I can install the Xbox version on my launch day Xbox One and try whipping my head back and forth to see if everybody just disappears.
Oh, Jeff, that Xbox One almost died yesterday playing GTA 5.
But here's the thing. Like, you've seen what Cyberpunk 2070, this is another thing that I'm just kind of like, meh. You've seen what Cyberpunk 2077 looks like on PC and on like really good systems.
Yeah.
Does it really look so good that you need like a fucking water-cooled i9 and a goddamn GTX 3090 to play it? Like, I feel like I've seen games like, okay, maybe the answer is yes, but like, if you cut the detail level in that game by like 25%, I feel like I've played games that look that good. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's all the people that are in there, but like Grand Theft Auto 5 looks really good, even on the PS4. In fact, that's a PS3 game that looks good on the PS4. Like Red Dead Redemption 2 looks really good. I don't know. It's still.
I really don't know what happened with this thing. Like the more that comes out about it, the more insane it sounds.
Yeah.
Like a good friend of ours, Robert, he commented on something and he's like, Cyberpunk 2077 is my new favorite television drama show kind of thing. Because there just keeps coming new things with it every time.
Yeah. So let's see what else we got here.
He also said it's a good time for it to come out because now everyone stopped shitting on Avengers.
Oh, that's kind of funny. We also had so we've had some unofficial stuff. Apparently, on the PC, there's some shit like the AMD chips are not using, apparently on like AMD processors, they're not using the processor like the right way. Like they're using instead of the logical cores of their AMD multi-core systems, they're only seeing physical cores. And so there's like a Reddit thread where somebody talks about using a hex editor to go in and like change the interface code so that it recognizes your processor correctly. There was another one that had PC performance tweaks like in the configuration files, because apparently it's using on the PC the memory, allocating the same amount of memory and VRAM the same way it would on like an Xbox or a PlayStation, and you can go in and actually change it to like use a PC to the fullest extent of what a PC can use. It's becoming very obvious that this game was not finished, that it was like...
No, it was not.
It was just not completed.
It was very obvious the more time goes on that they definitely needed more time.
Yeah.
They didn't want to delay, probably because they had to meet Q4. And just, fuck, dude. Like, it just keeps getting worse.
You know, I mean, I know I said it before, but like what it reminds me of is No Man's Sky. Right? Like where they promised all these different features. They aren't there. Like they kind of had this idea of what they wanted to put out. And then what they put out, it was like they only put out 60% of the game that they were planning to put out. And the rest of it's just like, well, all that's gone. So, again, my only hope is that if they spend the next year putting the features back in, that by the end of 2020, maybe by 2077, we'll have the version of Cyberpunk that works, and then we don't even have to worry about it because we'll be living in that future. So, but in spite of all this, it's doing exceptionally well. Apparently, it set a Steam record for the most concurrent players, with 1,003,262 people continuously playing just after December 10th. The previous Steam record was Fallout 4 at 472,000 in 2015. Damn. So
they more than doubled that number. Holy shit.
Yeah. And not only that, but, this is the sad part. All of the development and advertising costs have already been made back. They made back all the money they spent to develop Cyberpunk 2077, like, manpower, development, and marketing and advertising, which is kind of nuts. And I guess there's a story in here. I mean, this is one of those things where it's like, I mean, we're stating the obvious, right? Like, you all know that this is the problem with video game hype culture, that, this is why you don't pre-order video games right here, because every so often we get into one of these situations where, like, regardless of why this happened, like, you were sold a bill of goods, and then when you got it's like when those things on Amazon where you order a chair off of Amazon and you get a doll chair because in the description it says 12 inches instead of like 12 feet or whatever. Or you order like a bathing suit, it turns out to just be like a picture of a bathing suit because you got scammed. Like, I'm not saying that CD Projekt Red set out to scam people, but this is unacceptable. This is we've been through janky, buggy, shitty launches before. Assassin's Creed Valhalla has a whole bunch of glitches and shit, and I see it all the time, right? Like, this is just too much, though. This is camelback straw. We're going to be talking about this for fucking ever,
Well, the issue comes down to the fact that the way gaming is one of the few types of forms of entertainment that this can happen in.
Yeah.
Because books tends to be like one of the others, kind of, but... The thing about movies, like, especially like this sort of entertainment, the thing about movies is that when a movie, at least normally before everything that happened, a movie would come out the opening weekend, a bunch of people would see it, and then word of mouth would cause what would happen afterwards.
Right.
And so that was easy to, since you weren't pre-ordering anything for the most part, it was a lot easier to get through, kind of thing. Whereas with games, once there's a lot of people don't have that sort of time frame. They don't wait to see how the weekend does and then get word of mouth. They just go straight into it.
Yeah.
Because it's not like it's not like the theaters are sold. Like, theaters can sell out, which is the reason why people can wait. Whereas with games, especially now with digital, it can't. So everyone can do everything they want for that opening weekend if they have the money for it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what causes something like this to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So the market doesn't learn anything from it the way a movie would, kind of thing, because of that fact.
It's interesting too because I feel like that we've come so far between No Man's Sky and a few of the other games that have started out super broken and then gotten fixed. Like I think, Michael, that by the end of 2021 they'll have fixed this game and it will probably be good. But like, if that was the case, this should have been a Baldur's Gate 3 that launched in early access. It should have been listed as early access and not, here it is, you've waited for fucking 10 years or whatever, here it is.
That would have fixed so many complaints so fast before it came out. This was like, this is just early access. We were still very much working on this thing. Like, we'll figure this out once it's done. Because hell, Minecraft was an early access game, and that thing was all over the fucking place.
If they
all
had,
over the mood.
If they had cut out like one section of the city and just giving you like one neighborhood, and then here it is in early access, you could do it. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's very strange.
They would have been more forgiving, but I don't think the console gamers would have been as forgiving.
No,
but a lot of people would have just been like, "Oh, early access, that everything makes sense now," kind of thing. But there was no way they could have. Like, I feel like it would have worked, but there's no way at this point. Like, at least once they reached December, that they probably could have done that. If they would have done that when it was originally supposed to come out, and I mean the original release date. I don't mean the second
in 2019,
whatever many fuck they did. If they did it in 2019, people probably would have accepted it, but they delayed it so much to the point where we are now that there's just no way that would have worked now.
I mean, yeah, obviously, like, everybody knows they got locked into this release date with the new consoles. They really wanted to have it out by Christmas. I guess the thing that's weird to me is I just don't understand how anybody can look at this game and go, yeah, yes, that is acceptable. Put that out. Like, I
can, but it involves a lot of people in suits who don't know how game development works.
Yeah. A lot of people in suits who aren't listening to QA, right? Because QA is...
I can imagine QA in the corner, shirtless, screaming at the top of their lungs, going, "What the fuck?" And then, like, the guy in the suit going, so you're saying it's ready, right?
Like, does it... Bottom line this for me, Michael. Does it install on a stock PS4? Yes. Fucking ship it. Like, I guess...
Do PS4s burst in the flames? No? Then it's fine.
I guess the thing that's weird to me, though, about this is that, like, that scenario that you and I just laid out, 100%, I could see that from Activision. 1,000%, I could see that from Electronic Goddamn Arts. I just don't know how.
Oh, we have an early access game right now that's on consoles. Grounded? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
The little kids being early access, and everything is just like early access. That's fine.
Temtem,
like, it would have worked.
Temtem came out this week in early access on the PS5. I didn't even know Sony did early access, but that Pokemon
I don't know either
thing, I don't know. It's very weird. It really, to me, knocks down the credibility on CD Projekt Red to be like, I don't know how you thought this was going to work, right? Like PC gaming is a very small subsection when you consider PS4, PS4 Pro, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, Xbox One X, Xbox One S, Google Stadia. Like, if it runs great on the PC, that's one thing. But I just don't know what they were thinking. Like, that's the thing that keeps coming back to. It's just like, I don't know. I mean,
maybe it was like the producers.
Yeah. How so?
They were just like, or they were just like, maybe they took out, maybe they made a bet. Like, kind of thing. And they're just like, and they have to make it as terrible as they can, except they actually succeeded in that instead of, making Springtime for Hitler kind of thing.
I don't know. As it is, it just seems...
I don't know. It's just the whole thing.
It's so weird.
Like, every time I think about it, the less it makes sense.
Yeah, so they did make back all their money, and that's good. They also apparently lost like 33% of their stock price in Poland. CD Projekt Red did, which is no good.
No, it's not.
Now, I mean, as a...
Most people will believe anything, and you still piss them off.
As a... it's the stock market, so who knows? This could be back up tomorrow, right? Like, there's no... That doesn't mean anything.
The stock market's like a goldfish. It reacts and then it forgets.
Yeah, so...
It's a whole thing. I know that's a myth, people, but I don't fucking care.
The one nice thing, though, that they got is apparently CD Projekt Red. I think this is a shit thing to do to your employees regularly, but apparently they had the whole like bonuses tied to the Metacritic score thing going on, and apparently they decided to not do that. They're just giving out the bonuses to their developers. Because it was one of those things where, like, as long as it's got over a 90 Metacritic score, we all get, like, super bonuses for Christmas. And after the debacle that has happened, they're just like, just fucking give them the money, give them the money. We're going to ask them. Because I guarantee you, like, from what we know about it, Michael, they're going to, these motherfuckers are going to be in the office on December 26th, and they ain't leaving until July. Like,
they'll be lucky if they can leave that building.
Yeah.
Or any of their buildings kind of thing.
Yeah. They're going to get them back in, and they're going to work the fuck out of them, and that's a shitty thing.
You want to make me look bad in front of Keanu Reeves? Is that what you want to do? Fix this fucking game.
You know what? I need to keep playing the game, Michael, but I don't really even like Johnny Silverhand very much. He's kind of a dick, and I'm like, I don't want you in my head, Dick Keanu. Like, there's fun Dick Keanu, and then there's like, okay, last weekend, I was in the middle of my Cyberpunk thing. I rewatched Johnny Mnemonic, and like I think Johnny Silverhand is less John Wick and more Johnny Mnemonic. You know, like I want
Is that a bad thing?
Yeah, have you watched Johnny Mnemonic recently?
No, let's be honest. No,
he's a super. You remember that part of Johnny Mnemonic where he's like under Ice-T's bridge and he's just like, I want room service and a $10,000 a night hooker, and I want my suits pressed like they do at the Imperial Hotel in fucking Tokyo. Like, yeah,
it's been a while.
Yeah. It doesn't hold up. I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't hold up.
I'm not surprised it doesn't hold up.
Everybody seems like, I know all the people in that movie can act, and I don't know why they're not doing it. Because I know Dolph Lundgren can act. I know Henry Rollins can do a better job. I know Ice-T could do a better job. I know that fucking, what's-her-face, Dizzy from Starship Troopers could do a better job. Udo Kier is in that movie. Remember that? You remember Udo Kier?
I forgot about that. Yeah, it has been a long time then, isn't it?
Don't watch Johnny Mnemonic. I know what you're thinking, but don't do it. It doesn't hold up.
Just get drunk with a bunch of people we know and then watch Johnny Mnemonic.
I got drunk and watched Johnny Mnemonic. It wasn't as fun.
I said with a bunch of people. I emphasized that part.
Well, it's still 2020, so we can't do that.
It's true. Do a Netflix watch party or whatever.
Yes. Finally, from that online call, we also got the news that apparently CDPR is saying that they want, like, regardless of the cost, they want to make sure that they work and patch it and get things working. Like, this was just them saying basically that they're going to put everything else, like probably that. Remember, this game's supposed to have a fucking multiplayer component that was supposed to launch next year? Yeah. Like, all that shit's going on the back burner, and they're going to try to fix this, fix what they've done. We'll have to see. And then last, I think, on the Cyberpunk train is my favorite story from last week. So from this week, last week we had the news that all the dicks were coming out of the pants in Cyberpunk, right?
Yeah.
But we also
there
was another thing that was out there that has been coming up on the fringes of Cyberpunk news, where people are like, why are there so many fucking dildos in this game? There's so many dildos everywhere in this game. And apparently, the reason for that is because it's literally a coding problem, where when they spawn random loot, it's spawned with a randomizer, and apparently, like, the number for, like, if X then dildo is, like, set too high. So they're literally going to be, like, reducing the number of random dildos that you find in Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah, I was reading a tweet by I guess he's a YouTuber or something. He was just talking about the fact, he's like, yeah, like 85% of my loot is just dildos, because it's just the sheer amount of dildos that keep falling out of dead guys. It's just like, what is going on in this fucking city?
So many fucking dildos, so many goddamn dildos. All right, and that. Wow, oh no, wait, we're not done yet. We are not done yet. We have more Cyberpunk news. Did you see this, Michael?
I did not.
Specifically on the PC version of Death Stranding. Death Stranding is a bunch of Cyberpunk 2077 tie-in stuff. This includes
Okay.
yes. This includes. This is actually. This base trailer is kind of bad. It just shows Norman Reedus with like little cyberpunk things on his eyes and Johnny Silverhand's glasses and the bike. But like, this one shows off a little better. They're literally adding a hacking mechanic into Death Stranding from Cyberpunk, where you can point at like the what do they call those guys? The Odorex like equipment and turn it off by like hacking it. And then like if you have the Johnny Silverhand arm, which you can get a much stronger punch.
My God.
You could turn off their trucks, and apparently there's several like subquests, like side quests that are homages to Cyberpunk 2077 that's in Death Stranding. However, again, Steam and the Epic Game Store, no word on when these things would be coming to the PlayStation 4. So what?
That's really weird.
It is really weird. Or at least Kojima Productions did not say when or if it was going to be coming to the PS4 version of the game. So
You got to solve a puzzle first to find out.
yeah, you have to beat Sephiroth in order to get the PS4 version of
You
Death
have to
Stranding.
overcome Shenlong with the Shoryuken or whatever.
That's right. You know what? With that, I think we're going to go ahead and take a break because we have a Nintendo Indie Direct. We have a Sephiroth video, and we also have a bunch of other stuff too. So we're going to try to do it all. I hope this is the most we've ever focused on. Like we just have one game and like one movie and one TV show, and it was the entire front half of the podcast.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know how these things happen, but yeah, we'll be back in a minute, and we will talk more. And I hope you guys are ready for more Cyberpunk. I'm just kidding. We're not talking about Cyberpunk. We're
All
done.
Cyberpunk.
We're done. Yeah, this will be just the Cyberpunk podcast.
Sephiroth's in Cyberpunk now. Deal with it.
That's right. Sephiroth is in Death Stranding. I don't know how that worked, but no. So last week we had some big Nintendo news. We had a bunch of Nintendo World trailer. We had a Nintendo Indie World. It was like a little 15-minute thing that we'll just run through real fast. I didn't actually realize this was a thing, that this wasn't a thing already, but apparently Spelunky 1 and Spelunky 2 are both going to be put on the Switch. I honestly did not realize that wasn't already an option.
I felt like it was, but I guess not.
I suppose not. But that's
Maybe it was a Wii U thing. I don't know.
That's a good move. That's a good move. I know Amanda's very, very happy about that. I'm not really a Spelunky kind of guy personally, but
They're weird games, but I get it.
yeah. If you want to fight your friends as a cat, there's a game called Fistafluffs that is like cat.
It's a great trailer.
Fights. It's like weird physics-based cat fight. You know what it reminds me of is that crab fighting game, right?
Oh, okay. Which is called Crab Fight, right?
Was it Crab Fight? It was something like that. But yeah, it's got like you can kind of use the environment. It looks very on purpose janky. It's
very like customizable with cats, and it looks like a fucking crazy time.
It does. It's gonna be out early.
It's got a great trailer though, guys. Look up the Fisty Fluffs trailer. It's amazing.
Yeah, in early 2021. Very, very Valet is. You know what? I feel like this game is that. What was that? Moving Up. Was that what it was called? Where it was like you had to. It was like the kind of isometric, and you had to move stuff out of people's houses, but you could throw furniture. This kind of feels similar, but with cars, where you're parking cars and then bringing them back from the valet, but you can like crash and jump over stuff and generally be crazy when it comes to physics. It's got multiplayer in it.
That's great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. This game called Tunch, I believe, is a this was a multiplayer. This is like a beat 'em up style game that you could play with multiple people. It's kind of a side scroller with kind of unique art style, kind of cool looking, simple animation. And then apparently it has the lady from A Hat in Time in it.
Oh yeah, I noticed that. Yeah,
as well. But
that's interesting though. It looks like could be a lot of fun though.
Yeah, I mean, it looks such like a nice beat 'em up. It's nice to see, that like we've got some beat 'em ups back in the mix, right? Like,
yeah, beat 'em ups are coming back, and I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, this year we had Streets of Rage 4, which was amazing, and Battletoads, which was not.
It was half amazing. And then, because all the beat 'em up stuff was good, but then it's only half the game for some fucking reason. Fucking Battletoads.
I was super, 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 super happy to find out that Cyber Shadow is getting a release date. For anybody that forgot what that is, that's the game that's being published by Yacht Club Games, the makers of Shovel Knight. It's actually being made by somebody else, but it looks very much like an old NES kind of Ninja Gaiden meets Street Fighter 2099. Was that what the game was called?
I think it was 2010. I think was what it was.
2010, or like
the one where you're Ken in the future.
Yeah, or like Kabuki Quantum Fighter or something like that. Yeah,
that's right, kids. There used to be a sequel to Street Fighter, the original Street Fighter, that was a side scroller that made no sense.
Was it actually Ken?
Yeah, there was supposed to be an actual sequel to Street Fighter because they didn't know what they were doing with Street Fighter originally after the first one. So they were like, well, what if we made a side scroller where you're Ken in the future? And they were like, yeah, sure, let's do that because they didn't fucking know what they were doing.
So fucking weird.
Like, that's why Final Fight was supposed to also be called Street Fighter because they were originally just going to do only beat 'em ups from then on with it. But 2010 did so fucking bad.
Yeah.
They're like, let's call Final Fight or Street Fighter, whatever it was called, Final Fight, and then we'll make an actual fighting game.
Yeah. But this actually got a release date of January 26th. And I'm super, like, this seems like one of those ones like The Messenger, right? Or like, or like Shovel Knight in one of those, like, hey, we made a side-scrolling game, but it's like actually really fun and well-balanced, and you've got a lot of cool upgrades, and it doesn't require like super Meat Boy levels of reflexes to play. Plus, not enough cyber ninjas. Need more cyber ninjas.
Yeah, cyber ninjas are great.
Mm-hmm.
More cyberpunk stuff.
We had another one that came out today that was called Calico. That's like this weird. You're making a cat cafe, but like the size is all weird. Like the cats are very large and you're very small, and I don't know. This one didn't click with me for some reason. It might just be because I'm like a dog guy, but it's kind of like pastel look to it. I don't know. It
looks like a unique game.
It's very strange.
That's all I'll say about it.
Very strange.
Not a bad thing or a good thing, or not a bad thing. It could be good.
We also had Alba, a wildlife adventure, which looks like a very cute kind of just like out in the world doing various things. Looking at wildlife. I don't know. This kind of, to me, is a little bit pales in comparison to that game of the Game Awards pre-show where you play as the little girl, but you get to like go into crabs and shit. And speaking of which, Michael, did any of the Game Awards trailers really like catch your? Did any of that really like just float your boat?
I'm really excited about that one game that looks kind of like Dead Space a bit. I already forgot the name of it, unfortunately, but
yeah.
But that game looks like it'd be really rad. Same with Perfect Dark coming back just all of a sudden. Thought that was really cool.
Yeah, the Callisto Protocol.
Yeah, Callisto Protocol. Bad for Blood, of course. If I can get people to play that with me, that game could be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
The Evil Dead game, I'm interested in enough to maybe play it, but I was really hoping it wasn't just another multiplayer game kind of thing. I was hoping for something closer to like those PS2 games they came out a long time ago with, especially the second PS2 game. I think it's called Regeneration, I think was the name of it. It was a sort of hack and slash sort of game. I was hoping for something like that, but unfortunately. But also, like I said, if I can get a group of people to play that game with, that could be cool.
Yeah.
Also, of course, there was another one that I thought was really cool. with that Crimson Desert, I think.
Oh yeah,
I was curious about it because it looked like it had a lot of cool stuff going on for it. There's a few other things, but I can't remember them off the top of my head right now.
Fair enough. We also got this trailer for this. I actually am really kind of interested in this Trust No One in Nosha game, which is like it looks like it's kind of like a visual novel, maybe like a 999 kind of kind of thing. But like if I remember correctly, I think that one of the things that the devs said was that you can complete a game of it, and like you can make them longer or shorter, so you can like complete a game in 20 minutes, which is way better for me than these games, these Zero Escape games where it's like, well, you just need to play this 20-hour game over and over and over and over and over again in order to see the true ending. I don't know. It's got an interesting art style, but right now it just looks like it's mostly just a bunch of character portraits. We'll see. And that's coming early 2021. I also like this Happy Game, which was like this kind of weirdly cheerful, but it's also a horror game and something is wrong, but like the character designs are very strange. I don't know. I like it when games, it kind of reminds me of like, I don't know, like those weird indie horror games that use kind of chibi-ish stuff, but then there's...
It kind of reminds me of those old like just Newground Flash videos where people would just take something that seemed kind of innocent at first and just make it fucked up.
Yeah. It looks really fucking crazy. I totally want to play this in the spring of next year. Super Meat Boy Forever is going to be a console exclusive on the Switch, coming out the 23rd of December. We already know what Super Meat Boy Forever is.
Yeah.
Are you?
I'm never very good at these. I like them, but they're just so fucking difficult.
Yeah, it's not my bag personally. I'm not a play the same level over and over. It's why I didn't like Celeste all that much. I think it's funny that apparently the trailer for Grindstone, which you and I literally played for Patreon videos, age restricted on YouTube in this little recap webpage that I'm looking at.
It makes sense though after playing it. God damn, that game was addictive.
Have you considered buying it? Have you considered purchasing it for yourself?
I have considered buying it, but I feel like I would never stop just slashing things.
It's the most violent puzzle game you've ever seen, ladies and gentlemen.
It was amazing, guys. It was one of those oddly satisfying kind of things just to watch.
Yeah,
like to see how many we could get at once, and you would see like groups of them. And me and Jeff were just getting giddy. Like, look at how many reds there are. There's just so many of them.
Yeah.
And our eyes would like widen.
It's basically, it's kind of like I don't know. It's kind of has like DNA and like kind of a match 3 almost game, except that instead of matching 3, you're like murdering stuff. And then you can, just by adding like the ability to move your character in these weird diagonal patterns, like you could do these just insano chains of murder. If you're a patron of Rage Select, you deserve to go watch us play Grindstone, because I think we were both pleasantly surprised. Like I wasn't entirely sure when I picked that one, and then we played it, and it was like, because we were originally going to play that Kingdom Hearts Memories of Melody game, but I was like,
you're telling me about that.
I don't want to have 8 ads on my Patreon YouTube video.
Yeah, when you were like, it's a puzzle game, I'm like, it's shit, and then we kept going, and I was like, do more.
Yes.
Murder them more.
Yes. There was kind of a montage where they showed a few things. When the Past was around, that weird game that Amanda and I played where that lady's dating an owl man. That's coming. Cosmocrats, Hoa, Hazel Sky, Trash Sailors, Finding Paradise. I mean, this was the big montage, and a lot of stuff looked good.
There's a lot of shit coming out, yeah.
Yeah. But then the big one was Among Us, and it launched that day. So Among Us is now on the Switch, and you can play it. Apparently, I looked it up. It has crossplay with the PC and the phone. The only problem is that apparently the PC and the phone version use Discord for the voice comms part of it. So for Among Us on the Switch, if you're going to be doing the voice parts, you have to basically like log into a Discord channel with your phone and do it that way.
I think that's kind of just how it would work even with those two. But I've never used the in-game chat when I did that.
Okay.
But that's
Well,
just me.
We'll see. And then the biggie today was we got the full rundown on Sephiroth out of Smash. Michael, you did not get a chance to watch all of this.
I saw little bits and pieces of it, but I did see that shirtless Sephiroth is, in fact, going to be a costume in this.
Yes. So it started out with Mii Fighter costumes for Barrett and Tifa and Aerith for the shoot, sword, and punch, respectively.
I think it's just called Fighter, yeah.
Fighter. And then also Chocobo hat, and then this...
And then fucking Gino.
Yeah, Gino.
That's right, people. They're never going to put Gino in Smash Brothers. You can stop wishing. He was in one game, one Super Mario Brothers RPG, and no one fucking knows who he is.
It's a little strange. So I watched this whole fucking thing. I had to stop halfway through to go get some coffee because I was kind of falling. Sometimes I fall asleep when Mr. Sakurai is just talking about like the iframes of Sephiroth. What I can tell you, Michael, from watching this whole thing is that basically it seems like Sephiroth is he's pretty strong. He has a big reach with the sword, but takes a lot of damage really quickly. So he's kind of a glass cannon.
Okay.
Type of
You
character.
also saw that he's very light.
Yes.
Weight wise, so he can be launched pretty easily.
Yes. We got the swords or your normal attacks, and then there's like this shadow flare that you can charge up. There's like a dashing maneuver. One of the interesting things about him is that you can apparently when you get down in health, he gets the one wing, and he gets a bunch of like crazy shit that you can do with when the one wing is out, where like he can triple jump if the one wing is out.
That's crazy as shit.
Yeah. Apparently, one of the other things he can do is he's got like a sideways stab that if you're falling off the stage and you can do that, it'll literally stick into the stage, stop him, and let him jump back up. But the crazy thing about the one wing that I found, this is so crazy. I remember the first time I saw one of these things where they went into like excruciating depth about what the characters in Smash could do, and I was like, quit telling me how many invisibility frames Mario has. I don't give a shit. But like, so apparently the one wing on Sephiroth depends on like how much of an advantage you have. So like if you have 3 stock and the other person has 1, like you have to be over 100 in order to get the one wing to come out. But if you only have like 1 stock and the other person has 3, it'll pop at 33%.
Oh wow.
So it's like variable. Yeah, a lot of weirdness. His final smash is that thing where he turns into the big Sephiroth and throws meteor at the world. And apparently it does random status damage to each person that it hits.
Oh, really?
Which is weird. Like it'll reverse some characters' controls and it'll like stun some characters, and it all depends. It's random, like in Final Fantasy.
I still remember the first time I fought Sephiroth, and it was years after it first came out. I was living in San Antonio with my roommate, and he was watching me, and Sephiroth used Meteor like 9 times in a row. And my roommate was like, I've never seen him do it that many times to literally anyone, because he had to watch like his cousins and stuff beat the game a bunch of times. He's like, I've only seen it like maybe twice, kind of thing. I was like, he won't stop.
Yeah, so in addition to that, we also we got the stage, which I think is really, really weird. I don't know if you got a chance to see this. It's basically like you're standing on like this thing, and in the background, it's just playing the entire end of Final Fantasy VII. Like,
wait, the entire just like.
It starts outside the crater, it goes into the crater, and then like meteor starts coming, and then holy holy goes up to meet it. It can't stop it, and then the life stream comes up to stop it. Like it's weird how like there's nothing in the background. There's not like characters or anything. It's literally just kind of like playing this weird montage of everything that happens at the end of Final Fantasy VII.
Oh my god!
Like a big movie that happens in the background. It's a very weird stage. It's a very strange stage for Smash. I don't know.
It's kind of impressive.
Yeah. Also, they're adding in the Cloud is getting the Octo/V5 from Advent Children, the one where all the swords come out and he does it. Like, it's being added to him. But the kind of crazy thing, Michael, I don't know if you saw this, I think you would be really interested in this, is that they've added this thing for Sephiroth, where Sephiroth comes out on the 22nd. But right now, there is a limited time event where you can fight Sephiroth on Smash Brothers, and if you win, you unlock him 5 days early, or however early it is. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah. And I don't know if you only get one shot at it, but you can do it on like easy, medium, or like very hard. But yeah, it's kind of like unprecedented. It's apparently like if you load up Smash and you have the Season 2 pass or you purchase Sephiroth ahead of time, you can hit the plus button and you'll go to this like boss fight and you get a chance to fight Sephiroth. And if you win, then you get to unlock him early. And I'm like, crazy. I don't want to do it. I'm not confident enough in my ability to beat him.
I may try it later. I don't know.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it was. I mean, I'm interested to know, how do you feel about Sephiroth? I was kind of like, oh, look, another sword guy in Smash, but he seems like he's a little different than some of the other sword guys.
I was very worried originally because I didn't know we all didn't know who was coming out was the thing.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of rumors. A lot of people are still hoping for Crash Bandicoot. I'm like about 50-50. I'm like, well, if he's in it, he's in it. If he's not, he's not.
Yeah.
I was worried they were going to pull some shit and then like put a Fortnite character in it.
Oh.
That's what a lot of people were worried about. It's like, they're going to put a Fortnite character because of its popularity, because after Minecraft, some people were like, well, maybe it's a popularity thing. Maybe they'll put something that's popular. And so,
like the banana guy.
Yeah, I was watching like a reaction where it was like, it's going to be Fortnite. And the guy's like, don't let it fucking be Fortnite. Another person thought it could be Sora from Kingdom Hearts. For some reason, some people were thinking that.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it turned out to be Sephiroth, I was like, you know what? I'm cool with this. Like, yeah, it's another sword guy. But, it's fucking Sephiroth kind of thing. Like, everybody wants Sephiroth in it. Like, I was telling you when we were recording last that there was a Super Smash Brothers Brawl mod that was called, I think it's called Project M. It's been years. I don't remember if that was the actual name. But you could download costumes to add to people, and people were constantly making Sephiroth for it. And so, like, Marth would be replaced with Sephiroth.
Okay.
But the funny thing was that since the sword model was really long, you could hit him with it, but you couldn't. It was just Marth's like actual hitbox. So people kept trying to like hit people with the long sword, but they would just go through because it wouldn't be a thing. But that's how much people wanted him, because people were replacing Ike with Cloud at the time, because Cloud wasn't even in Smash yet.
Right.
And so people wanted those two guys for years, and now they don't have to do it with mods. They can just do it like legitimately with his own Final Smash and everything.
Oh, that was another thing that was fucking crazy, that goes to like the like level of stupid detail that they do in Smash, is that the sword strike with Sephiroth has different damage depending on which part of the sword hits the character. So like,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, on the jumping attack, the end is the most, but on the standing attack, like the middle is where you get the most power out of the sword, and it's just like, Jesus, guys, come on!
I love them because they did the same thing with the whip for the Belmonts. Is that if you hit them with the end of it, it does the most damage.
It's kind of nuts the amount of detail that they put into like when I watched that motherfucker run down how Steve worked, I was like, what?
I still don't know how Steve works, and I watched that whole thing. I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
You have to mine in the stage in order to craft a diamond sword? Okay, fine.
They go for it, man. They just go for it. If they can make it work, then that's the character they put in, kind of thing.
Yeah. In other Nintendo news, this was just a really, 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 really weird thing. There was an interview with Polygon where Doug Bowser was talking about the Super Mario 3D All-Stars, the way that it's like only available to purchase until March 31st of next year. And he said, yeah, I think I use a simple word, celebration. It's just, this is a celebration of Mario's 35th anniversary, and we wanted to celebrate in a unique and different ways. And we've done that through games like Super Mario 3D All-Stars, or we'll be doing that through future releases such as Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. There are various ways we celebrate Mario's 35th, and with some of these titles, we felt it was an opportunity to release them for a limited period of time. They've done really well. So apparently the reason you can't buy it after March 31st is because it's fucking special. It's like, this is a celebration, and that means that you can't buy it after a certain point, and the price will be all jacked up on eBay. That's what celebration means, right? Is super jacked up price on eBay.
The guy's name is still Bowser. I'm saying this is clearly a ploy by Bowser to take over, to make people hate Mario. I'm just saying.
True. It's very true.
He said as he spit fire in between sentences.
Yeah. It's Doug Bowser, for God's sake.
He's like fucking Dennis Hopper Bowser. He's just evolved. We just don't realize it yet. I'm just saying. Oh
God! If the next Mario game has Yoshi, but it looks like Yoshi from the Super Mario Brothers movie, I am super happy with that, Doug Bowser. You do that. We had a really fucking terrible story last week or actually a couple days ago, about the game Devotion. Did you see this, Michael?
I heard about this.
Yeah. So Devotion, the really cool game that Bryce and I played because I'm a cool guy who gets cool games from cool stuff, and it's totally legal and legit. Don't look into it. We played this game. This was the second game from the company that made Detention, which I thought was really good. Devotion seemed absolutely amazing. It was up. Somewhere there was a Winnie the Pooh joke. They fucking took it down. And it hasn't been back up anywhere. Like, there was a limited Taiwanese physical release that happened like earlier this year, apparently, but that shit's like super sold out. I know, because I looked. So Red Candle Games actually said, they tweeted last week, hey, Devotion is going to be published on GOG. So GOG is going to be bringing back Devotion. It's going to be on sale for $17. Thank you for your trust and support. We wish you a happy end of the year. Great news. Absolutely fantastic news. It's a wonderful game. Everybody should get to play it. And then, like, later that day, this is the weirdest fucking tweet I've ever seen. GOG.com tweeted, earlier today, it was announced that the game Devotion is coming to GOG. After receiving many messages from gamers, we have decided not to list the game in our store.
Is that what that meme is about, the receiving many? I've been seeing memes where it's like, after receiving many messages from gamers, like, I decided to just not fucking go to work today, kind of thing, like shit like that.
Yes, because
I didn't realize that's what came from. That was a 5-hour fucking time frame.
Yeah, because this doesn't make any sense. Like, okay, we know that this is some China shit, right? We know this is some China shit, right? Like,
100%. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
We're gonna block Cyberpunk 2077 sales in China if you fucking put Devotion on GOG, because, like, in what world, in what possible universe would, like, okay, first off, I don't know what quote unquote gamers would complain about a good horror game being put on a digital storefront, right? They're like,
well, I don't even know what, like, a gamer could say that could be construed as, hey, we're going to take this down. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, that's why that just doesn't make any fucking sense.
It doesn't. Yeah, like, messages from gamers. Like, I don't know. Again, this is one of those things. You know what? It just occurred to me, Michael. CD Projekt Red owns GOG.com.
Oh, Jesus. I didn't even think about that.
Like, who is running your social media, man? Like, what do you mean messages from gamers? That doesn't
he must have been high as shit. Like you said, it's just some stoner.
It doesn't make
And he's like, you bring up a great argument, man. Let's not do this.
Yeah, because, like, when have gamers complaining about a thing ever stopped a company from making money? Like, if they put this game on their service, they'll make money. So, like, if some guy on Twitter or, like, even a person emails them, or even if 100 people email them and they're just like, I'll never use your service again. Like, that's got to be every fucking day. Like, they have to hear that all the time. The only thing that makes sense is fucking China. Like, it's the only thing that makes any sense to this.
Because Yeah, if the game had came out and then they were like many messages from gamers afterwards because it didn't run well or some shit, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna take it down." This was like literally 5 hours after they said we're gonna do this. All of a sudden, they're like, "No, we're just not going to." It's like, but why though? It's like, fuck you.
It really doesn't make any sense. It's real shady, and like, yeah, I know China doesn't listen to the Rage Like podcast, so I could just be like, man, fuck China. I hate that shit. I hate that authoritarian bullshit. Like, that is obviously what happened here. Like, I mean, you know.
Oh, no, 100%.
I'm guessing, and like.
Or maybe the mouse called them. You don't know. Maybe it was Winnie the Pooh who called them.
Maybe so. I don't know. But like, it doesn't make any sense otherwise, because this is a guaranteed moneymaker after the heat that was on this after it got delisted from Steam. Like, putting it up on GOG would be guaranteed. I swear to you. I don't know if he's already done it, but like, you know, somebody like Markiplier, right? Or like Jacksepticeye, or like some fucking Twitch people that I don't know who they are. Somebody would play this, you know, Matt Pat would play it on a live stream, and then it would like blow up. It would get a bunch of sales, right?
Oh, 100%. It wouldn't take a lot for something like that. Like, it's literally a forbidden game.
Yes.
Like, people would eat that shit up.
Yes. So I don't know. Now, the good news, there is a happy ending to this story. The good news is that Red Candle Games actually came out and said, "Hi, we are Red Candle Games. Earlier, GOG announced on its official Twitter, after receiving many messages, we have decided not to list the game, blah, blah, blah. Though regretful, but we are willing to understand and respect GOG's decision. For the players looking forward to Devotion's re-release, please accept our most sincere apology. It's a difficult predicament to overcome, but we won't stop striving." So apparently they're still trying to find somewhere to put this fucking game out.
Hey, Epic, you know how like you like to piss off Steam and shit? Just fucking do this.
Michael, everybody knows that Epic is owned by China, and they sell all your Fortnite data to the Chinese government, so there's no way they'll put it on Epic. I mean, Tencent does have some kind of, like, ownership in Epic. I don't necessarily believe that. I don't go to
you're saying they should just put the game within Fortnite?
Yes. I'm saying that you should have to download Fortnite on an iPhone, and then you pay direct money to Epic through the iPhone store to get a copy of this game that has been banned from China. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. That's the perfect plan. Mm-hmm. No one will ever think of it.
Yeah. And then when China takes them to court, they could make an iPhone commercial where they smash a Winnie the Pooh, or a Macintosh commercial where they throw a sledgehammer into Winnie the Pooh. I hope this game comes out, though. It's great. It's way better than their first game. It was super creepy. Bryce and I had a great time playing it. It seems really fun. So I hope it comes out. Let's see. Speaking of bad news, and I earlier on in this podcast, I did a little foreshadowing. So Assassin's Creed Valhalla came out, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
And everybody was like, oh, cool. Ubisoft decided to be cool this time. And unlike Assassin's Creed Odyssey, they didn't put in a pay real money XP booster into the game. Well, they did now. They've done it now. A month after this game is out, they fucking put an XP and a cash booster into the game. It is $10 per booster, or 15%, or $15 for both. Apparently, the XP point gain is a permanent 50% increase in the amount of XP gained throughout the course of the game. And then there's also, I think, the same for the cash or something like that.
That's so fucking dumb. I don't understand why they keep doing that. Well, actually, I do understand.
Of course,
they
you
want
do.
Fucking money,
right? They want the money, but they don't want the bad press. So they let the review copies come out. And everybody's like, "Guess they learned their lesson." It's exactly what they did with fucking Crash Team Racing, right? Like,
oh yeah,
they added the.
This reminds me of that old Mr. Krabs meme where it's like, "What motivated you to do this? Money."
Yeah. God, fuck you, Ubisoft. You didn't need to do this. Everybody likes your games.
They did it.
Like, everybody likes your games. And, you know, there's a whole...
Well, do they know now?
Well,
to be honest.
I don't know. There's a whole thing where they keep insisting, and they're just like, well, the game... we didn't slow down progression of the game so that you would buy the XP booster. And it's like, look, either the game is broken without the booster, or it's broken with the booster. Like, why would you sell people the ability to break their game, or why would you fuck up a game and then sell me the fix for it? There's no scenario, I think, in here where you come out looking good.
No,
especially when I really want to know, considering this game is like, what, 50 or 60 hours long? Like, it's super, super, super long. Like, literally, these boosters are under a menu item called time savers. Right? So, like, does that mean that instead of 60 hours, the game only takes 40 hours because I can, like, really mainline the main story quests? I don't have to do any side quests because I'm getting enough XP that I can just, like, not deal with the side content? Like, I don't know. I hate this shit.
It's just kind of dumb. It's like, honestly, if you need stuff like that, just play it on easy mode at that point. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. In other Ubisoft news, if you have Google Stadia and I was actually really happy when I first read this. If you Google Stadia and you have Ubisoft Plus, you can just use Ubisoft Plus on Google Stadia and get all the games on Ubisoft Plus. Now I pay for Stadia, I pay for EA Play, I pay for stuff, right? Ubisoft Plus is $15 a month, and to me that is just way too fucking much for...
That's a lot for just the Ubisoft stuff.
Yeah. Like, Game Pass is less than that. Game Pass is less than $15 a month.
Or something like that?
I think maybe the ultimate version is $15, but that gives you both PC and console, and, like,
we also get Xbox Live with that, too, with the ultimate edition of Game Pass. That's
true.
what I have. I have that so I can have Xbox Live and Game Pass at the same time.
Yeah.
So I can play them Halos.
Yeah. So, I don't know. This seems like a bit much, but hey, if you got it, maybe I've, you know what? This is for somebody who's not Jeff. Most people that like Ubisoft like them just fine. I have a big problem with Ubisoft. I think this is just, again, this is the high end of any of the subscription services that we've seen out there. So, we also found out that Google Stadia is on the iPhone and the iPad now. Strangely, though, it is not an app. It is not an app that you could download. What it is there was a recent update to Safari on the iPhone and the iPad where you literally go to stadia.google.com through the browser on your iPad or iPhone and then create like a shortcut to it on your phone desktop.
They really don't want to give Apple money. That's really what that comes down to.
Maybe. Yeah, I guess in that way you wouldn't, if you had an app, that you would have to let people try to like buy games through that app, and then Apple would take a piece of the money.
Yeah. Like they probably also have to do the whole like, what was it, the rating or whatever they were considering that. Wasn't that something that they were stopping or something like that, if I remember? Like
rating on the iTunes store?
Yeah, because you would have to like rate each game or something like that, or some shit like that. I could have sworn there was something like that involving one of those stores or something. I can't remember anymore.
I do not know. But I don't know. I don't have an iPhone. I do have Stadia. I've actually tried playing Cyberpunk a little bit on Stadia, and it was okay. I actually literally bought a whole separate version of Cyberpunk 2077 to play on Stadia. Let's see.
I heard it's actually not bad on Stadia, though.
It isn't. It really isn't. Like, if you don't have a next-gen console, like if you had a PS4 and you had a good internet connection, I would almost say like it would be better to do it on Stadia than try to go through the PS4 version, especially if you get the controller. The controller really does help with the input lag. Speaking of phones, you all have phones, right? And that leads us to Diablo 4, where apparently we're going to be actually getting some actual news about Diablo 4. We're going to get some actual video about Diablo 4 at the revamped BlizzCon in, I believe it's February.
The fun thing about 2020 is that since it feels like forever, most people have already stopped being mad at Blizzard.
Well, there's just so many things to be mad at. There's bigger fish to fry, Michael.
Exactly. Like, because Blizzard was public enemy number one for like the first chunk of the year.
Yeah.
And now I don't even remember why we were mad at them.
Was the Warcraft 3 thing this year, or was that was last year, wasn't it?
I think that was the end of last year or
Was
something like that.
Blitzchung this year, or was that last?
Well, that's
that
the
was,
thing. I don't
that was
even
last
remember.
year? Yeah,
That's the thing. It's been like it feels like it's been like 30 years since all of that stuff happened.
yeah.
So it's like, shit, I don't remember why I was mad at you. kind of thing.
Yeah. So they're actually probably going to be showing stuff off, and then they're also going to be showing off Overwatch 2 at BlizzCon in February, which remember was announced, was a thing.
That was the thing. Yeah.
As Michael said, it is always worth remembering that Blizzard kind of sucks a bunch of pee holes at this point. So
They kind of do. Although I've almost bought a McCree action figure like 4 times.
yeah.
I keep almost doing it and just deciding against it at the last second.
They employ very talented designers, wonderful artists, and a lot of people who make pretty good games. It's mostly just like the fucking upper tier of their management seems to just suck. Like just suck and suck and suck and suck. Speaking of things that suck, Fortnite doesn't suck as much anymore because apparently they've been working on like adding stuff to Fortnite outside of Master Chief and Boba Fett and or The Mandalorian and stuff like that. There's now some options that you can apparently play Fortnite on the PC with like very, very low PC specs. This comes after they also did some updates where they added in like ray tracing, and I think that like the Xbox version can run like 120 FPS or something like that.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, but so they're still adding in stuff that basically lets you play Fortnite on a really low spec machine, which is good because you shouldn't have to have a super, super high spec machine to play what Fortnite is.
Yeah.
Let's see. We also got the news that Hades now has cross saves. So if you started on the PC, you could play it on the Switch. If you started on the Switch, you could play it on the PC, which is pretty cool.
Man, how great is fucking Hades, by the way, still?
It's so good. Have you beat it?
Amazing.
Have you?
Not yet. I keep meaning to get back to it. I'm going to soon. That's the plan, probably on my next day off.
Yeah. I have to say that considering this is our last 2020 podcast, I am going to try to get like Game of the Year 2020 negotiation stuff out early next year. It's just I want the break to catch up on a few things that I haven't played yet. So,
okay, that's fair.
I was really hoping.
I still haven't played Ghost of Tsushima yet.
Oh my god!
That was like ages ago when it came out. I still haven't been able to play it yet.
Yeah. Let's see. We also got some like this is weird. This is news, but apparently like we're gonna get some more information about Elden Ring probably pretty soon. This is according to Games Beats Jeff Grubb, who kind of like knows stuff. He like knows people, and he basically said that like they're still working on the game, and he this quote from him says that they probably could have shown it at the Game Awards if they wanted to, but they probably didn't want to. But he's thinking that probably in the next month or two we're going to see something else from Elden Ring, which, considering I don't think we've seen anything since like E3 of last year, would be nice. I'm
kind of laughing at this quote when he's like, it doesn't mean days or months. It could be any point kind of thing.
Right.
It reminds me of that old South Park gag with George R.R. Martin. The pizzas are coming. The pizzas are coming, guys. Just over and over again.
Yeah. Well, now that Game of Thrones is a complete shit show, he's got to put his time and effort into something.
Yeah. Did you ever even finish those books? I don't even think you ever finished them.
I don't know. I never even. I didn't read them. I
literally don't think he ever finished it. And Jesus, yeah.
Let's see. We got a bunch of really cool trailers this week. We got the opening cinematic to Hitman 3, which is pretty cool. It's got Hitman and I believe Gray, his like a friendly character, and they're just kind of like, I don't know, globetrotting around. What's nice about this is that.
So you're saying they're really good roommates, kind of thing. Wink, wink.
Yes. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying though is that I like the fact.
Why do you hate shipping, Jeff? Just saying.
I don't care. It's not that I hate. I don't care. What is it? The opposite of hate is indifference. That's where I'm at.
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
Right. Tell my wife hello. And this is basically just like them kind of walking through a bunch of like really cool lands. I like this because it seems like they're going to go back to animated cutscenes, which they didn't do in Hitman 2, which was the one and only problem that I had with Hitman 2 was I didn't like the like motion comic cutscenes.
Okay.
But I like the fact they're going back. And I can't fucking wait because Hitman 3 and it's coming out in January. Ooh, if it was out this year.
Is it really that close?
Yep, it's the end of January. I
Didn't realize that.
I cannot wait to play that Knives Out level with the fucking English countryside. There's like they showed that Shanghai level with all the neon lights. I'm like, Hitman, baby. Fucking Hitman.
Hitman is back.
Yep. In a big bad way. I'm hoping that once this comes out that they'll finish the story, which, you know, was really interesting and cool. And then they kind of just like, I don't know. I always felt like they were going to end it at the end of Hitman 1. And then they're just like, no, to be continued, actually. And it's like, okay. We got a trailer for the free content update for Star Wars Squadrons, that now all of that stuff is out. So the B-Wing is in there. The TIE Defender is in there. Fostar Haven as a multiplayer map is in there. There's a bunch of new livery for the ships. There's a bunch of new weapons and stuff. And this is all free. 100% free update. So
that's amazing.
I hope that somebody tells them like this. Keep making Star Wars games like that. That would be
just
great.
More of this.
Yes. Not even like more space combat sims, but like small games put out, announced, and then out, right? Like good, just like cheap, play it, have a good Star Wars time, and then you're out. Let's see. We also got we got this really. Did you watch this trailer? Do you want to tell people about this trailer?
Yeah.
This Just the Facts holiday gifting Miles Morales trailer.
So the Miles Morales trailers lately have been doing these Just the Facts where it's J. Jonah Jameson having arguments with Danica about Spider-Man and the many features of the game.
Yeah.
One of the main one in this one is the Spider app. That in the game, it's like you get all your submissions, or you get a lot of submissions from it, and it's as well as some background stuff on Roxxon and the new form stuff, and it's just Jameson being an old man yelling at the clouds essentially about Spider-Man and just blaming him for fucking everything, and I love every minute of it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's a great way to do a trailer, right? We've already seen a lot of bombastic action. It's a great way to kind of do something that's kind of low rent, where it's just a clip show of Spider-Man Miles Morales, but with J. Jonah Jameson being a dingus over the top of it.
It kind of made me want to play it again, like just hearing Jonah just talk about it, and I was like, I want to do this again.
Michael, you and I are already playing it. We are in the middle of a playthrough of Spider-Man Morales.
which is the main reason I am not doing it right now. That, and I haven't finished the Spider-Man Remastered yet.
Yeah,
because I've been taking my time with it.
Let's see. We also got some winter trailers. I was actually interested to see Overwatch has a new mode this year. It's not just May's snowball fight. It's like this freeze and thaw mode where you freeze the enemies, and then you can like thaw out your teammates, and it's some kind of like elimination mode, which is pretty cool.
So it's like freeze tag.
Sort of, yeah.
Like team freeze tag.
Yeah. And then there's a bunch of new cosmetics, there's a bunch of Christmas cosmetics, and they all look pretty cool. Is anybody still playing Overwatch? Michael, you still playing Overwatch?
I don't know anyone who still does, but I'm sure somebody is. I
like this. May has a little penguin outfit that's pretty cute, that has an egg in the back of it. So, yeah. This stuff is all out. You can play it now. Another weird holiday thing is Hyperscape. You remember everybody's favorite game, Hyperscape, Michael, has a bunch of holiday stuff in it. Holiday emotes, holiday skins, holiday weapon skins.
I literally forgot Hyperscape existed. And it hasn't even been that long.
Ubisoft, baby!
Shit.
Yeah. So if you're into Hyperscape, you can go get a bunch of holiday stuff. It's like
there's dozens of them.
You know what? It reminds me of like when they're like, "Ooh, it's a holiday event for Apex Legends," and I'm like, "Do you guys still playing Apex Legends?" I don't know.
People still play that one. That one I've seen streamers on, but I forgot. Like I said, literally forgot Hyperscape existed.
How about the winter pack DLC for Ghost Runner?
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's like an ice sword and like a festive arm with like it's red and then has like kind of like holiday gift wrapping, like red with gold little stars on it. Yeah, I didn't see this one coming. Apparently, it's not like Christmas themed or anything. It's just fucking winter themed for that cybernetic, goddamn cyber ninja thing. So
The ice sword is kind of cool though.
It is pretty cool.
It was pretty nice looking.
We also got a release date trailer for Olija, which is that Devolver Digital published like kind of pixel based action kind of side scrolling game. I think this might have been at the Devolver E3 thing this year, right?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, yeah.
I'm really super into this. Like whatever it is, it looks like right up my alley as far as the mechanics go, but it has an actual release date now of January 28th. So
Devolver loves releasing stuff that's just really unique, and I'm glad they are around for that sort of thing.
Fuck yeah. They've become like there's so much indie shit all over the place these days. There's so many bad like games on Steam that you never know, but you could just be like, well, I know if it's coming from Devolver, it's probably of a certain level of quality. So.
Yeah, exactly.
And then finally, we had a 7-minute. I don't know if you watched this, Michael, but we had a 7-minute gameplay first look at that Werewolf the Apocalypse werewolf that fights the corporation that is killing Mother Earth game, and it looks weirdly bad. Like
weirdly bad.
It's just,
I remember when they showed the first trailer for this, I was like, wow, this game looks like it's probably not gonna be good.
You know what it looks like, Michael? It looks like a game that could be fun, but also it looks like a game that has like really loose mechanics, really bad. You know what it reminds me of? In a really weird way, it reminds me of like Hulk Ultimate Destruction. Like
that could be good or bad considering, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Ultimate Destruction was amazing.
Like there's a whole thing where like you can shapeshift between full wolf, werewolf, or dude, and like there's like apparently the wolf form is what you use to like stealth into places. You can like go into vents as a wolf and then sneak up on guys and turn back into a person. I don't know. The graphics themselves look a little like very bog standard, very just like nothing is jumping out from like the art style or the UI.
It doesn't really look like it. Looks very generic.
Yeah,
outside of the wolf stuff, to be honest.
But like, if you actually watch all 7 whole minutes of this, like it kind of gets into some interesting stuff between the stealth and then like the actual combat. Like there's like rage meter and stuff. But I don't know. I feel like this game keeps trying to be a thing, and I keep going like, I don't know.
Who knows? It could end up being real fun, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm not even cautiously optimistic. I'm just like, we'll see what happens. Honestly, I have no fucking idea.
All of you get to be all of y'all in a game like this get to be like, well, Jeff will obviously buy it, and then we'll get to see 30 minutes of him and Matt being like, and I can make my decision. Let's see. From there, we have some other brief news. Apparently, this new Marvel multiplayer mobile game based on like the Battle World or the Secret Wars came out. This Realm of Champions, which gives you the ability to make all these kind of like crazy alternate universe versions of the different Marvel characters, which sounds really cool. Unfortunately, then you have to play basically like a MOBA, and I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to do that. I want to do that.
It's funny because like DC tried to do something like an actual MOBA that was kind of the same sort of idea.
Yeah,
and it fell forward pretty fast.
Yeah. Let's see. In other superhero news, Groot himself, Vin Diesel, who is inexplicably in Arc 2, see last week's podcast. I don't understand this shit at all, is apparently doing the same thing he did before, and he's going to be executive producer on the project. So just like with the Chronicles of Riddick, and then Apparently, though, he was also involved with that Fast and Furious Crossroads game that was just so bad. It was so bad.
Oh, the Wheelman! I forgot that game existed.
Yeah, but apparently he's going to be on board. I wonder, he bought Starbreeze, right? Like when Chronicles of Riddick came out, like wasn't he like a majority owner in Starbreeze? I wonder if he still is. But he's going to be directly involved with Arc 2. Huzzah? Question mark? I don't know.
I don't really know how to feel about that one either. Yeah.
Let's see.
He walks in every boardroom going, "We're family," and they're like, "Stop it! Stop saying that."
Terminator Resistance. Do you remember that game?
Yeah, I do vaguely.
Is getting an enhanced PS5 release.
But why though?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. I didn't really cotton much to that game, but apparently a lot of people really liked it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, apparently they're going to have it up like 60 frames per second, higher resolution, higher poly count, lighting, shadows, all kinds of cool stuff, better load times. And then apparently they're also going to be having a new mode where you can play as a Terminator trying to infiltrate the Resistance instead of the other way around.
Well, that could... I don't know. I was going to say that could be fun, but I have no idea. This game sort of showed up and disappeared pretty quickly.
I feel like a lot of people liked it, but I don't really know. I was very cool on it, but I might have been in a bad mood the day I played it. Who knows? That happens.
No G.I. Joe, whatever the fuck the title was for that.
Yeah, the Cobra's Revenge or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, it's weird. It's weird, this game. Microsoft Flight Simulator is also getting an update on December 22nd, which is going to put snow in the game. Apparently right now the weather in Flight Simulator is locked, so it's basically summer everywhere.
Okay.
But they're going to be doing an update where they add in like more snowy areas. Apparently they put out a little infographic that said only 72% of the Earth has been visited in Flight Simulator, which probably means that nobody's like flying over just like vast stretches of ocean for hours and hours and hours at a time.
It's probably part of it.
Yeah.
That or people really don't want to visit Montana or something.
Yeah. In other game patch news, I thought this was really interesting. Demon's Souls got a big patch, but it didn't have a change log, which is very strange. So, like, the community basically wrote the change log because Souls players are fucking insane.
For fuck's sakes, guys.
So they literally went in and just like started writing the change log of stuff that has switched up in the Demon's Souls remake.
I feel like that's the devs just going, "Hey, watch this real quick. Just gonna release an update and watch these fucking nerds just do the shit for us."
Yep.
Go for it.
Yep. Let's see. In release news, Conan Chop Chop has been delayed into 2021. Does anybody
forgot that existed? Oh my god!
Still remember Conan Chop Chop? This started out as like a April Fool's joke.
Maybe, I'm not really sure.
I don't know, but
it just sort of happened.
Yeah. But it's apparently it's been delayed into next year, and they've said that's supposed to be the final delay before it actually coming out. And then we've got some fun stuff here. The Mortal Kombat movie got a release date. And guess what, Michael? It's on my birthday.
Jeez. It's very exciting, to be honest. Like the guy who's apparently in charge of the I assume it's this guy, the Todd Gamer. This dude's like hella excited to just talk about this thing. Mm-hmm. He wants to talk about it so fucking bad. Like he announced that he's like, "Hey, we're gonna come out with some shit like a couple days ago or something, or I think like a week ago." And he came back. He's like, "Yeah, sorry guys, I'm not allowed to say anything yet," kind of thing. He's like, "I thought some stuff was going to get announced, but it hasn't yet," because he's really wants to talk about it, and that kind of level of excitement kind of makes me a little excited to see what they're planning. And
yeah,
especially because Mortal Kombat has like it has an actual plot that can be used compared to a lot of other fighting game stuff that like that's coherent enough that you could probably make a really cool movie out of it.
Yeah, I agree. So for anybody who doesn't have my birthday memorized, it's April 16th of next year is when it's coming out.
Well, now they know.
They know. Yeah.
Knowing is half the battle.
I want them to know. I want them to tell me happy birthday without being prompted by me. But, I gave that train up a long time ago. Okay, so apparently this is a very weird story. There's this one guy called Double Agent that is a World of Warcraft pacifist who basically has like this Pandaren, and you can't leave the starting area without picking Horde or Alliance and this guy has never left the starting area and just picks flowers and mines and crafts in order to gain levels. And with the recent release of that Shadowlands, it upped the level cap to 60, and he said he spent 2 weeks mostly picking millions of flowers to hit the new level cap in the game.
What do you do for a living, man, bro? Like, how?
I mean, like you still have to pay the monthly subscription fee, right?
Yeah, what the Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So yeah, that's pretty impressive. And then last but not least, this is actually really impressive. So there's a guy out there who basically wanted to add ray tracing to the Super Nintendo. And so this guy, yeah. So if you look at this video, he literally has reflections and shadows and all the stuff that you normally get out of ray tracing, but this guy actually made a hardware chip to do this. And the idea was that it was going to be like a Super FX chip where the Super Nintendo renders the stuff and then it passes through this chip to do ray tracing before it outputs. And it outputs at 200 by 160 maximum. But it actually works. They've got
That's crazy shit.
They got a whole teardown on this website about basically routing these cables through a cart and then out into a side module, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty freaking insane.
So people who can't see what we're looking at, there was a headline that popped up that got me just curious as to what that was.
Oh.
So
you hijack at the end of my podcast.
I kind of am, because I was looking this up real quick. Apparently, because Japan releases a specific magazine all the time that tends to have stuff in it that talks about Dragon Ball stuff. I think it's called Weekly Famitsu or something like that. Apparently, they announced Super Baby is going to be in fucking Dragon Ball FighterZ, which I think
Super Baby 2.
Yeah, Super Baby 2, and the reason for that is because if I explain it, I'll have to explain Dragon Ball GT, and nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that.
But
is that exciting? Cool. Is that exciting?
It kind of is, because
Super Baby.
Because Baby was I think the best villain to come out of Dragon Ball GT. I think Dragon Ball GT is dumb as shit for the most part, but Baby was probably the coolest thing. He had an arc that was actually legitimately really good.
Okay.
And that's a really cool thing, because I actually really liked Baby.
Did Baby turn into Super Baby?
He did. Baby. Do you want me to explain Dragon Ball GT?
No.
Because I'll explain Dragon Ball GT.
No, I do not want you to explain Dragon Ball GT.
That sounded like an invitation to explain the plot line to Baby.
It was a simple question. It was one question.
He also turns into Great Ape Baby.
Okay, I don't want to know anymore.
He's gold.
That's too many things. That's too many
shoots
things.
Gallic guns at the Earth.
Nope. That's too many things. Too many things.
Sorry, I just had to point that out, because if that's true, I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, it happened some point today. I saw it in the news, and I was like, I don't know what that is. I'm not going to put it in my news thing. Well, I tell you what, we're super, super long. You want to do one question before we wrap it up?
Yes, let's just do one quick question.
Okay.
About Dragon Ball GT?
It's not. It's just, okay, what is Super Baby? What is... No. Let's do... Yes. Okay, this will work. So I Hate Everyone So Shut Up says, hey, Jeff and Michael, any games that are obscure because the console is now obscure that you'd want to see re-released? For me, it's the PS Vita game Arashika Tainted Bloodlines. I mean, I feel like the problem at this point is obscure. Okay, so most... I feel like the question has a little bit of a fault because there's no such thing as an obscure console anymore outside of like the Ouya, and like nobody wants anything from the Ouya. I would say that like if you count like the Vita and the PSP as obscure consoles, where the fuck is Crisis Core to play outside of having to own a PSP? Like,
yeah, Crisis Core is one of those games. I wouldn't say is obscure, but it's a game that's so part of Final Fantasy VII's plot that it doesn't make any fucking sense that game doesn't exist on anything else.
They put on those dumb Kingdom Hearts games. Come on.
So with Dirge of Cerberus, but even then, I don't think it's probably fine if Dirge of Cerberus isn't re-released, kind of thing. But there's a lot of games like that came out for the PSP that just were like, no, there's no other way to play it. Like, we got lucky fucking Persona 4 Golden finally came into something that wasn't Vita related.
Yeah. You used to have a Vita TV for that shit. I would actually say let's alter the spec of the question a little bit and say, like, what games would you like to see get a re-release that are hard to play? Because like I'm still sitting here saying, you know me, man, I bitch about Nintendo all the time and about how they won't release their like huge library of back stuff, but like, my fucking God, if Sony just put out a PS2, if I could just buy a PS2 with an HDMI port on the back of it, I would do that tomorrow. I would pay money because, and not just that, but then there's these games like, you know, I look at the horror stuff like Haunting Ground and Rule of Rose and Michigan, that weird Suda 51 zombie game, Michigan Report or whatever. Like, That's should have a
fucking game.
We should have access to those games. Like, we should have, or like, think about the GameCube library and the stuff that we can't. There's a few things like we should be able to just play Eternal Darkness, Sandy's Requiem, or Twin Snakes, even though I don't really like it. Like,
well, hell, the Beautiful Joe games have never been released outside of the PS2 and the GameCube. Like, there's no way to buy any of those games right now, which is fucking ridiculous. Same with F-Zero. There's no way to play any F-Zero games outside of the one Nintendo game kind of thing.
Or all those, like, Rogue Squadron games that, like, where the fuck do you play those? Are those on
There's
PC?
so many licensed games that just don't come out on anything. Like, a lot of my answers tend to be a lot of just licensed games. All the Ninja Turtle beat-em-ups, there's no way of playing them outside of owning those original ones for the most part, and there were re-releases that came out that are just almost impossible to get now because they don't exist really, for that matter. The same with, like, you know, a lot of those old Batman Nintendo games, all those, you know, old fucking just any old superhero game kind of thing in general. Like, some games that were very beloved just aren't ways of getting any of them because whoever made them, you know, they don't have the license anymore. Like, hell, we're lucky that some games are still getting re-released in that sort of way, like by Capcom's, because, you know, Capcom made all those Disney games. We got lucky that Disney let them even re-release those. Like, it's crazy as hell. But the fact that they did that, because there's so many other really, really good games that came out that Capcom did for other just like licenses that just we'll never see again because they don't have a ways of releasing them anymore.
I was actually interested in playing Detective Pikachu, but I wish that they would just put it on the Switch. Like, I wish they would just put fucking Detective Pikachu on the Switch, and you could fucking play it on the fucking Switch. Like, they can put it there.
I would like for them to release all the other Ace Attorney games outside of the 3DS. Because Ace Attorney 5 and 6, I think the only ways you can play them are on phones outside of the 3DS.
Dude,
I'd love for those to be on television.
Ghost Trick. I would love to replay Ghost Trick. I would love to replay Ghost Trick, but it's fucking not fucking available.
Well, hell, the second Edgeworth game does not exist in America. Just outright does not exist in America, which is some bullshit.
Yeah,
I don't even care about what is the Great Turnabout. I think is the name of that Japanese one. It just takes place in like feudal Japan or something. Didn't even bother trying to release it out here. There's a bunch of Dragon Ball games that I would love for to just be re-released. Like, I would love to play the original fucking Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans that became that OVA I would love to play Dragon Ball Z Legends. Like, there's a lot of old Dragon Ball Z games that were actually legitimately really solid. They're just little things that just there's no way to play them outside of a ROM. Like, there's just nothing.
You know what? Here's another one. Man, I hate the fact that there is no legitimate way to play the No One Lives Forever franchise for new people to get those games outside of physically buying them. Like,
absolutely.
Like, oh my God, I hate the fact that it's just the weird like licensing issue between Warner Brothers and Monolith and hell, can you play?
It's a great answer.
Can you play Shogo?
I don't know, actually.
Shogo Mad. Yes. Okay. Apparently you can. You can play Shogo Mobile Arbor Division on Steam for $10. Man, someday I'm going to make a Patreon video for Shogo. That game is shit. It is total garbage.
I'm gonna like not my last answer, but the main answer that I will always say to the end of time is every Marvel fighting game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just there's no. Like, they get re-released for like a second, and then the licenses just die, and then there's nothing else. Like, I'm lucky my 360 still works because I have the re-release they did for Marvel Superheroes and Marvel vs. Capcom 1, as well as Marvel vs. Capcom 2. But outside of like arcade kind of re-releases, because I know they've been making those one-up cabinets, there's no way to real easy way of playing the X-Men vs. Street Fighter games, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, X-Men Children of Atom. There's just nothing outside of those things, and it's super frustrating because these games are amazing, and there's just Disney is just would not let this happen again, apparently.
And there's some pretty good Vita games out there. I remember that Killzone Vita game being pretty good.
Yeah, there was a Resistance PSP game that I thought was really good. I think it played kind of like a I think it was kind of like a tactics game, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Some of these have actually already come out. Was Freedom Wars? That came out, I think. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff. I really do. I don't know. There's so many games that I also want. I wish would get like a remaster. It's funny because when you talk about Vita games, that makes me think of the poor PSP and how nobody in the world except for me played fucking Pursuit Force, which was a absolutely ridiculous game. Did you ever play Pursuit Force?
I remember hearing about this game, but I didn't own a PSP for years. Mm-hmm. By the time I did, like I was playing a bunch of Japanese games, to be honest.
It was so weird. It was like a racing game, except you could jump from car to car and like knock people out of the car, and it was freaking redonkulous. And it was very much like an 80s action movie, like Crazy Taxi with guns, or I don't know. It's hard to describe. I wish they would remake it.
Speaking of which, there's a lot of old PlayStation 1 games I wish that would get re-releases. Mm-hmm. Like there was a game I think it was called Rogue Trip 2020, if I remember the name of it. Mm-hmm. It was this old game, or it's 2012, that's what it was, Rogue Trip 2012. Mm-hmm. And it was this game where like you were driving around tourists in like the apocalypse kind of thing. Because people still wanted to go on vacations, and it was like a mixture of that with Twisted Metal in it.
Yeah,
and it had a lot of really good songs on it. Like it had some ska on it too as well. And it was one of those games that came out around the same time, and I just thought it was amazing. Same with Critical Deep. I think it was Critical Depth. It was also a Twisted Metal type game, but it was an underwater game. And it was a lot of fun. It also had some very fucked up endings, mm-hmm. Kind of like those old Twisted Metal games. Blasto is another game, but that's a game that like. But Blasto, I think, is a game that I would love to get remade if they could somehow keep the audio in it, because it was one of the last things Phil Hartman did before he was murdered.
Oh, okay. Like
they wanted it to be this whole franchise, but since he died, they couldn't do anything with it afterwards.
Okay. Well, I think that's it. I think that's all I got. Ranted about Cyberpunk for an hour. Read about everything else for another hour. We answered one question. I think that's it for this year, Michael. I think that's where we're going to leave it. Is put out all the PlayStation 1 and 2 games. Let me play Burnout 3 Takedown. I don't even need a remaster. I just want to play original Burnout 3 Takedown. Like, that's all I want. That's all I want for Christmas, Sony.
Give the man his cake.
Yes, that and like the PS5 version of Cyberpunk 2077. Maybe that'll make it good. Maybe it'll be good once it's the next gen. No, I'm just kidding myself. Anyway, I hope you guys get everything you want for Christmas. I hope you guys are having wonderful holidays. Whatever you decide to do, I hope it's safe. I hope it's cool. I hope you get some cool stuff. And you get some time to play video games. Video games are rad. It's the whole reason that we're here. MailRageSite.com is the email address if you want to send in some emails. We do have the emails. I'm assuming that January maybe things will settle down. Probably. It's probably going to be Cyberpunk 2077 for the next 6 months. We call this a Cyberpunk Memorial Podcast from here on out because every week's probably going to be Cyberpunk. Check out more from Michael over at oneofus.net. And from my green screen to yours, have a happy whatever it is. Have a happy one. And yeah, see you next year.